thing on.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of The Cut. I am your host, Christian Williams, and I am here with Randy Hall. Randy, how are you, dude?
Doing pretty good, man. I had a pretty good week in actual fantasy. Not the best week in DFS, but decent enough to where I can't complain that much.
I got hit pretty hard with injuries in DFS, and it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, that Juju for Thrive was really annoying and unfortunate, I guess.
I figured it out. If Juju doesn't get hurt and I get the over, I think I would have won over $1,000.
I think I would have went even. I was ballsy on a couple other takes, which got to be at some point, right?
Yeah, I had a good week fantasy-wise. I've been keeping my mouth shut on Twitter, though, because there's a lot of, I know, it's been a good thing, because everyone's victory lapping. It's only 3 weeks in. Shout out that train.
What was the triple pump with a horn, though, bro?
I know. Yeah, everyone's victory lapping, and we're 3 weeks in. And you know what? As much as I want to victory lap Mike Williams, because he's wide receiver 1, I'm not gonna yet, because the thing about Mike Williams is he gets hurt, and so if he gets hurt, then my victory lap looks pretty silly. So
yeah, it's also weird to have a victory lap after our starts of the week were Justin Fields and David Montgomery.
Yeah, it was bad.
But we forgot who the coach was. That's on us. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to talk about Matt Nagy here soon, but oh god. All right. We are here to talk through everything week 3. We'll give you guys some waiver options, and then we'll also get into a quick week 4 preview. There's a lot of good football games next week. It seems as though there's a lot of good football games every week these days. So
Seems that way. Just not in college.
Yeah, that's true. There will be this weekend. All right. First thing on the docket we have here is the injury report. There were a ton of in-game injuries. Like I said, it kind of killed my DFS lineups, but we'll just kind of walk through the injuries and see how we're feeling. So first, James White, he was carted off with a hip injury. It came out today that it is the subluxation that Ryan Fitzpatrick is dealing with. It doesn't seem to be season ending, but he's undergoing further tests tomorrow. And so what does this mean for the Patriots backfield to you, Randy?
For who they currently have there, I think I'm not fully on board / up to snuff Taylor's receiving chops. So with that being said, I would say Damon Harris is arguably the best receiving back left, which could mean more quick passes instead of throwing to the running back, more like drag routes and everything like that. And with how Mac played, throwing medium and deep, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good sign for Damian Harris, though I did see that his snap count has just continuously gone down, which I think is interesting. And so...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take his snap count last game full into account. They couldn't really run the ball well, and then Mac was playing like a rookie. So It was just kind of a mixture of just everything bad that could happen.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that was the case. I didn't actually get to catch this game. And shout out Game Pass for not giving me all 22, but giving some people all 22. I'm a little upset about it because I would like to watch the Bears offense and laugh a little bit.
This is why Game Pass is trash.
It is. It's very bad. But I won't get a refund, so I'm just keeping it so I can watch the condensed games, whatever.
That's fair. You've already wasted the money.
Exactly. All right, next on the docket is A.J. Brown. There seems to be a recurring theme with A.J. Brown, and that is that he is week to week, every week, ever. And so that's going to be the case now. He has a hamstring strain, it seems. He is week to week moving forward, and that is not a good sign. I almost feel like they have to shut him down at some point for at least a couple of weeks to get that healthy. When you have the benefit of having Julio on the other side, you would think that they would want to sit him like probably this weekend, wouldn't you say?
You'd say that, but they also didn't throw to Julio after the injury either. So I really don't know what this offense is doing besides running the ball. They're throwing just to anyone possible. It's not one of their stars. I think we really hoped that the Julio trade would help AJ Brown in like route trees and stuff. Not like we didn't think he'd just adapt Julio's injury report history. And that's exactly what we're getting so far. It's very sad.
Yeah.
But for me, I think you're right. I think you got to look at the matchups. This was a big week. They wanted a big divisional win against the only team that's really contending in their conference or division with them. So
shout out the Jaguars.
Yeah, I do believe they have a kind of a big game this week as well. But honestly, at least shut them down for the week. Don't let them practice or anything, and maybe we can get to this next week.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, they get the Jets, I believe, next, so I think they can win that game without doing too much on either side of the ball. The Jets are terrible. All right, next, Juju Smith-Schuster got hit with a rib injury, although it seems as though he will be fine. I saw the report today, but it's not a long-term injury. It sounds as though he might miss this week, but he might be good to go by this weekend. So not too much to report there. Hopefully they get Deontay back soon.
Yeah.
That offense needs a lot. And Juju doesn't really help that all that much anyway. So, all right. A couple of Giants receivers, Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, went down with a hamstring injury. There is a receiver that benefited the most from this, and we'll talk about him in the waiver wire segment. Kenny Golladay is not that guy. However, what is this offense? I guess my main thing here, Ingram has to come back next week, right? So then
yes,
he fills the Shepard role.
Yes, he'll get 52 targets and catch 10 of them. He's going to be a tight end 1 in the week. And we'll all look past that he dropped 40 targets.
Yeah. And I know Ingram, he played this week, but he wasn't good. So I meant like the Ingram where he gets fed targets.
Yeah, I feel like he was like just, okay, you're on the field.
He was there. Yeah. He was there.
And then all these injuries just made it kind of rough. They were in a close game.
That
wasn't think they would just go to Golladay more, but
yeah,
just didn't do it, and then they lost. So, yep.
The thing about the difference in Stafford and Daniel Jones is that Daniel Jones won't throw to Golladay when he's not open, and he's never open, and Stafford did. So I don't know what Golladay is moving forward. I'm sure we'll talk about that on a future episode. However, the main injury that happened Thursday night, we haven't had an episode since then. Christian McCaffrey, he avoided the IR. He is projected to be back then within 2 weeks. Hopefully.
Yeah, he still could miss 2 games, even possibly 3, but they're expecting that he won't for sure miss 3 kind of thing. So
yeah,
once he's on the IR, he's not allowed to be doing anything until after 3 games. So
yeah, very true. And then the thing with this is the Panthers are a good football team, and so the thing I was about to say is I fear that this might be a Joe Mixon type of thing, but Joe Mixon didn't come back last year because the Bengals were bad and they played it safe, I think. And Christian McCaffrey needs to come back if this football team and the Carolina Panthers want to make the playoffs. And so I think we'll see him not rushed back, but not held out longer than he needs to be either. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's for sure missing this week. Me personally, I would expect him to miss 2 games. And have a heavy likelihood leaning that he misses 3, but no more than 3.
Yeah. The Panthers do get the Cowboys next week, so
well, I mean, he's not there for that. There's nothing we can do on that.
Yeah, that's a tough one. All right, some highlights of the week and lowlights of the week. We will start with the highlights so that we have enough time to rant about Matt Nagy, or I have enough time to rant about Matt Nagy. But the highlights. So all of the AFC West, except for the Chiefs, were highlights this week. The Chargers are 2-1, Broncos and Raiders both 3-0 respectively. My question to you, Randy, are all three of these teams, you can go individually, obviously, but are they pretenders or contenders?
I'll actually, I'll kind of do group and individually. I've gotten the chance to watch a good amount of all 3 weeks of all three of these teams. Obviously, being a Raiders fan, trying to watch all those. All have had disappointments, but all three, in my opinion, are contenders as of now in the current landscape and power rankings situation of the NFL. This could obviously change. The Chargers are getting it done just on offense purely. No matter they're getting it done with everyone. Honestly, it looks like their defense is doing a good job of not giving up big plays. They're playing very tough. I know Derwin James got banged up. Let's see how serious that is, because it's always serious.
I know.
But for me, I think when we did our record prediction, me and you both struggled with all three of these teams because if they live up to potential and what they could do, all three are playoff contending teams. However, we're still not sure that all three live up to those promises. Injuries are always going to be a huge concern down the road. We can't really do nothing about that. Raiders are winning without Josh Jacobs. Peyton Barber looks good, so you know Josh Jacobs will. The receivers look pretty good.
Yeah, they do.
Honestly, which isn't a surprise because of all the changes they made, but the Raiders' offensive line is the thing that looks like the problem right now, and the defense looks good.
Yeah.
Bordering on great as of late. Broncos offenses looked really good, even with major injuries. Defense we knew was going to look good, still looks good. Chargers, both sides look good. So for me, they're pretender, or they're not pretenders, they're contenders. The problem is Broncos and Raiders will not stay undefeated, obviously, and the Chiefs will not have a losing record, obviously. So this
debatable all across.
This is going to be a really exciting finish.
Yeah, and when we did our record predictions, I actually had them all missing the playoffs, these three teams, because they're going to beat up on each other when it gets down to it, and they have some tough stretches here. I mean, they're playing the AFC North. I know the Browns get the Chargers and Broncos, I believe, back to back here in the next couple of weeks. But these teams are good. I mean, the Broncos can go toe-to-toe with anyone with that defense, and the Raiders, I think, can win shootouts. And I thought they could last year. It's just now those receivers took a step forward, so that makes them that much better.
In reality, the defense, besides the front four, and they are dominated right now, but the rest of it still has a lot of question marks, as it should.
Right.
But hitting is not the question mark, and that is kind of what this should be. Is playing it safe. They catch the ball, you knock them the hell out, basically, and let this front four attack. And that's what they're doing. It's working. For me, I had the Raiders missing as well, but I also had them losing to the Ravens and Steelers, and that didn't happen either. So I think I'm excited, and it'll be really hard to watch. I believe the Raiders and Browns play. That would make sense. I don't remember what week, but that's going to be one of the best games of the week, in my opinion, and I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Same thing with, I can't wait to watch Chargers and Browns. I mean, those matchups are going to be fun to watch for sure.
Yeah.
But
what the Browns play Vikings, then Chargers. Raiders play the Chargers this Monday night. So I think we get a good look at everything here. This could be fun.
Yeah. Hit the over on the Raiders Chargers. That's what I would say. Yeah. I mean, either way, even if their defenses are good, they're still going to score. So, all right. Next thing, Bills offense came back to life. That was the highlight of the week. Josh Allen looked like Josh Allen MVP candidate from last year. I know there were a lot of question marks. I do think that this is interesting because the football team defense has been a disappointment, I would say, this year. Their front four is playing okay, but they were supposed to be dominant. And if they aren't dominant, they're not going to play well. And that's kind of what we've seen. And so I would take this Bills offensive performance with a little bit of a grain of salt because we have 2 weeks where Josh Allen was confused, and not confused to the point that like he doesn't look like last year Josh Allen, but confused to the point that defenses actually impacted the game against him, and they didn't much last year. So I think we need to see more of this. I think teams have sort of figured out how to play them, but it was impressive.
It was a very good game. I mean, everyone knows what the Bills are. They're a team that can't really run the ball and don't want to, and they're going to throw a ton.
Yep.
I mean, it's just
yeah.
They played normal this week. It'd be very good, but that's their normal.
Yeah, I think the main thing was that the Steelers and the Dolphins could man up and stick with those receivers, and that's what kind of confused Josh Allen because he's used to seeing some zones now. So
yes.
Okay, another highlight: Aaron Rodgers and his game-winning drive. The Packers didn't play great, I would say. However, Jimmy Garoppolo did everything he could to lose that game, and then he did everything he could to win that game, and he still lost that game because of the things that he did to lose that game. So I wouldn't say it was completely his fault that they lost.
No.
I think I do want to highlight that zone that San Francisco played on that like 40-yard bomb to Devontae Adams, it was good. It was a very good zone. It's just Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers let that go before Devontae Adams broke like 15 yards away. It was absurd, an absurd throw.
Yeah, that one. I mean, even Fred Warner was almost there. Like everything worked out the way it should. Their pass rush just didn't get home on it. It's the next catch that's the problem. Is they still played back zone when it didn't make sense anymore.
Yeah,
because clearly the Packers were going to go for the field goal, not for the touchdown, and they stayed back that far, and it cost them. Not saying the Packers couldn't have still got something, but they basically gave it to them.
Yeah, I agree with that second play, but overall, just a lot of great football games too. Yeah. Last thing I want to highlight, and I added it late. I kind of forgot the Panthers game happened on Thursday, and so I added things late. But are the Panthers legit to you, Randy?
Not yet. Do we have a full list of who they played? Because I believe it's the Jets, the Texans, and the Jaguars.
Correct, I believe.
Yeah, they're not legit. Yeah,
that's fair.
I mean, let's have them play one of the teams that we don't think is contending for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, that's fair. Now I will say they get the Cowboys, so that could be their first loss, or I mean, they could play them tough.
It's going to be it's a litmus test, I'd say, but then you also have to go in with they don't have CMC. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, the Panthers have a really easy schedule, so they get the Eagles after that. They get the Vikings. They get, like winnable games. They get the Giants. Yeah. They get the Patriots. So, the Patriots are still a good football team, but I think the Panthers are going to ease the ease of their schedule is going to lead them to the playoffs, like a wild card slot, and then they'll probably get roasted. But we need to see more. It's a small sample.
They're in a top heavy division with the Bucs.
Yeah.
And then Falcons, I don't think it's a worry. Saints, it depends on the week if they're a worry. So for me, it's gonna be close, yeah. When I look at the wild card for the NFC, it's not like this ungodly fight for the finish. And when you look at the AFC potential wild card, especially speaking as Browns, it's possible that they end up as a wild card team. Yeah. And then you look at how the AFC West is shaping up, how the North already is. You're just like, shit.
Yeah, it's the AFC is crazy. NFC is probably top heavy though. Shout out the Rams. The Rams were also a highlight. I didn't put them on here, but impressive.
Yes. Yeah,
impressive. Okay, lowlights of the week. We're gonna start with Matt Nagy. And Randy, do you want to talk about Matt Nagy first?
I want to talk about how Bears fans have immediately just went at Matt Nagy say with the conspiracy theory, which I think is the incredible, but
I love it.
the conspiracy theory that I'm sure a lot of you already heard, but it's just that Matt Nagy wanted to prove he was right in starting Andy Dalton over Fields so far, so he called the worst game possible for Fields because he had to play Fields, which is just the most hilarious thing ever. But then you look at the play call and you're like, shit.
Maybe.
Could be right. Like, because we broke it down afterwards. Because I actually like it this year. Me and you don't obsessively text in a group chat on football days. We just like, nope, look at that shit. Look at that day. How about that? Because we're just enjoying the games, actually. Yeah. But it was just, I mean, at all levels, Fields had absolutely no chance to succeed, in my opinion. His line wasn't getting it done for the running game, so Montgomery couldn't do much. They definitely weren't getting it done in pass pro because they gave up 9 sacks. And then the play calling's bad, so you keep running hitch routes, yet your receivers the entire game aren't getting open at any kind of route. So it was just a constant. Fields has to get rid of the ball between 2 and 3 seconds, which isn't this most unheard of thing in the NFL. On a lot of plays, you have to do that. However, usually someone's open because that means they brought extra pressure. That's not what was going on. The Browns are getting home with 4 people and blanketing everyone, including a tremendous receiver, Allen Robinson. The only good thing for Fields is I said that I saw a lot of plays where he made a veteran move, throwing into tight windows, knowing he had to make a play, and making good throws, not just errant throws, trying to make a play. They're right where only his receiver could get it. We saw Allen Robinson almost catch one of those, which would have been the best catch of the week, by the way, if that would have happened. Yeah. But it just an overall, Matt Nagy just absolutely sucking as a coach. And part of this, I will say the line was just terrible too. So, yeah. And that's not on Nagy, but
I will say I heard someone ask, how would you rank the blame for the Bears? Matt Nagy, number one. Yeah, that's all right. You open that.
I don't know why I tried to do it quietly, knowing it couldn't be quiet.
I like that. So Matt Nagy, number 1, no matter what. Jason Peters, number 2. Jermaine Ifedi, number 3. And then I've been accused of having bias with Fields. Yeah, he was to blame on some of that. Like there were plays where he could have gotten the ball out, maybe 2 or 3 of them, but on 30 dropbacks, when your receivers, there were so many plays on the broadcast view that you could see all 11 Bears, and that's embarrassing. That is such an Andy Dalton game plan, and it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't work for Fields, yeah.
No, and so you also have to know your quarterback's limitations. Like we know Fields wants to hold the ball and make plays, so let's not run the short stuff because he wants to look downfield. I don't know. I went off on Matt Nagy. That's the one thing I've been on Twitter for, is to just roast this guy. He is clueless. And then some of the answers in this press conference today make you think like he doesn't even really know like how bad it actually was. He probably tried to coach up Justin after that. And my favorite part of the entire game, outside of the Browns winning, because I'm still happy about that, but yeah, my favorite part was when Justin Fields and Nick Foles were laughing on the sideline, because I have a very good assumption that they were laughing about something that Matt Nagy did. Or I think I saw Fields say, but what if I don't have blank? I couldn't see the rest. I think he probably said, what if I don't have fucking time to throw? And Nick Foles probably just said, you're fucked, or something like that. Yeah, I will say
I did like that shot. It doesn't matter what they were talking about to me, but I just like it because that's good backup veteran leadership by Foles, going up trying to make the young kid laugh after an absolute beatdown of a game.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey dude, shit happens.
It Foles has been weird
because like immediately after I was like, well, Nagy's like, well, near the end I think he hurt himself. Fields is like, I didn't hurt myself. What do you It's like, what is going on here? This whole team's dog shit.
Matt Nagy is doing his best Adam Gase / Hugh Jackson, and he's got to go. He's got to go if Justin Fields is going to be good.
Who is the Bears' top corner? I've been trying to remember it for a long
Jalen Johnson.
Yes, that's the one thing. Jalen Johnson, great game, great showing. Odell beat him a couple times, but it's Odell. But other than that, he played very well.
Dude, shout out to the Bears for just Odell first game back after a torn ACL, and they still bracket coverage to him and pulled safeties to the side. You fucking love to see it. Odell was good. Jalen Johnson was good, but Odell looked good. He's very healthy. All right, no more Matt Nagy for the rest of this damn episode.
Hopefully,
yeah, probably. It'll come back around. Next low light, the Steelers. The Steelers offense, trash, very bad. Big Ben, washed. Najee Harris, 19 targets.
In fairness, no Deontay, no Juju most of the game.
Right.
So I think that attributes to that, but still.
So the reason that's the case is because everything has to be short game because Big Ben can't throw the ball more than 15 yards. With accuracy, with zip, nothing. He should be on the bench. It should be Dwayne Haskins or Mason Rudolph, and they should kind of figure out which one is going to play the rest of the year because they are better than Ben Roethlisberger right now, in my opinion.
Yes.
Okay.
Ben looked atrocious. I will say the line isn't doing great so far. I don't think they're as bad as we were kind of, I would say, de-hyping them necessarily, but they still pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then it's just little things like that amplified with Ben being completely immobile, having less of an arm, needing to get rid of the ball quick, having all of his quick options gone. And then you're literally left with a deep guy in James Robinson and a deep guy / gadget guy in Claypool. Yeah. Did I say Robinson or Washington?
I knew you meant Washington.
Yeah. Okay. I literally caught myself. I was like, I definitely said that wrong. Right? But it's just like he get caught in a bad situation. And yet he didn't like overly target tight ends. He just kept ditching it to Najee, which Najee owners definitely appreciate. But for actual football, they looked bad. TJ Watt wasn't there. I understand that they need him, but it shouldn't be that bad without him.
No, it shouldn't. And I mean, Jamar Chase was just toasting that defense too. And this is a game the Bengals played without T. Higgins. If T. Higgins was out there, I mean, they dominate the Steelers. So I think my prediction that the Steelers were going to miss the playoffs, I think that's going to come to fruition if Ben starts the entire year. I think Mason Rudolph might be enough to get them there because he can maneuver the pocket.
I had them sneaking in because of teams beating up on each other last week. So, literally that's the only reason they made it. I still think I don't think the Bengals are a playoff team. Obviously, I think it's Ravens and Browns are the only people that should make it as of now in that division. Steelers fans are going to be very angry. But I mean, they could clearly improve. I'm not trying to discredit him, but you got to think if Big Ben's arm looks like this right now in week 3, what's it going to look like in week 18? Or let's not even go that far. What's it going to look like in week 12 when they desperately need a win?
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, it's the elbow surgery. Right? We're seeing it. We're seeing the decline based on an injury, I think, and it's tough to watch. But I
would say I would argue he's worse than Peyton's last year right now.
Oh yeah. At least Peyton threw ducks, but they were accurate ducks.
Yes.
Like they got there.
That's
same
the
thing
thing.
with Breeze.
Peyton was losing his zip and just full deep ball, but he didn't lose his accuracy and timing. He just had to adjust his timing.
Or his just ability to make quick decisions. Like Peyton was able to do that. And
that's the thing. And we're talking like Peyton needed that defense to be absolutely stellar just to make it. The Steelers defense has been good, but it's not been a lights out steel curtain,
Right. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of not been good, the New York Jets. I don't even really want to spend too much time on this. It's just going to be bad. And I think the main thing that I took away from this, Connor Rogers broke it down. He called it, he called it a Gase level effort out of the players, which is not good. I had more faith that Saleh would get these guys to play, but I think when your rookie quarterback is struggling like that, you kind of start to lose some hope, and I think that might already be happening with the Jets. It's kind of tough to watch.
Well, and I mean, as Browns fans, and me also as a Raiders fan, we've seen a lot of bad teams, and when you're a recurring bad team with a fresh start, you need that hope early. The Jets have honestly been kind of beaten into submission the whole time. They need some spark or hope, and they need Zach Wilson to be that. And he's just
he's not.
And for him, again, Mekhi backed him down. So the only lineman I fully value for them is hurt. The rest are good, are average to good, but a lot of question marks for me still on how they work out for this kind of line. They're not playing great. You have receivers not playing yet. One that's supposed to be good is not even able to get on the field because he's so bad. You know, it's just a constant little things. Nothing's working. They can't run the ball, and if they do run the ball, they're already down 30, so they can't run the ball. It's just nothing's working. The defense isn't working. Like, it's not good.
Yeah, it is not good. But again, I don't want to talk too much about the Jets. And then another team that's down bad, the other New York football team, the Giants. Joe Judge, I think his days are limited. He said after the game, he stopped to walk back to the mic and said, "We're going to be all right, guys. We're going to be all right." No, you're not. Stop it. You're not even going to have a job soon, hopefully for the Giants.
It's one of those, they don't need, like, you know what? Yeah, they need a full reset. I was going to say they don't, and I would say a few pieces are pretty good. But like Saquon, his deal's nearing the end. Daniel Jones has been playing relatively well, but still not getting it done. And he's playing well for fantasy too. Like, he's not doing well in games for pure football. He's doing well in fantasy.
Yeah.
Saquon's not getting it done. You sign Golladay. You don't have a quarterback that wants to use him. Everyone's getting hurt.
Yeah.
Your best tackler on defense is now done. Like, you just start going through, and you start to realize they are going to be one of the worst teams, unfortunately. Yeah. And when you're that for this long, and your coach is unliked by the entire team, it's going to be kind of a total resell, and that means Gettleman. I think they truly could use a full restart. Yeah. With keeping your good things. Don't get rid of the good things. That's stupid. Don't be the Jets or the Jaguars. Keep your good shit, get rid of the bad, and start over. That's kind of what they're going to need to do.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get into some waiver wire wish list things. This week, waivers are a little, I mean, they're good. They're good for, and last week was okay. But I think this week you are getting a starting running back. And we're going to start. I actually forgot to make a graphic for him. Chuba Hubbard, 40% rostered. Looked good. I know there's going to be some debate over Royce Freeman versus Chuba Hubbard. Royce looked good as well. I think it's more of a committee without Christian McCaffrey out there. But are you picking up Chuba over Royce, Randy?
Yes. Because we know what Royce is. And if Royce is the lead back getting carries, they won't be running it long. Chuba's the only one with juice for me. And I think, he, in my opinion, got more work. They weren't really able to run the ball anyways, so it didn't matter. But for me, I would pick up Chuba. I'm not spending 80% of my fab because we already talked about how this could be possibly just a 1 week rental. It's most likely going to be a 2 week rental, maybe a 3, and that's it. And then if you spend 80% of your fab, you're probably holding on to him, hoping that CMC gets hurt again, which is, do you really want to play that game? So I mean, I definitely would take Chuba over Freeman. I think if you're in like this deep league or something, you could take the stash on Freeman, wait the week, see if he's the actual lead back while McCaffrey's gone, then maybe play him in a flex next week.
Yeah.
But
would you play either of these players next week?
against the Cowboys,
Yeah, I mean, Miles Sanders is having an okay game, but mostly based on some catches, I think. And
yeah,
I
but the
don't
Cowboys have
actually
been
know that.
dominating on defense, so it's not like because they're stopping the run. Like the Eagles are literally just trying to throw this entire game, and it's
Yeah,
not working.
no, it
Uh,
was a bad
I think
script.
I would consider Chuba in a flex.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, next guy here, Gio Bernard, 18% rostered. His stat line this week was pretty ridiculous for a running back until you look at Najee's stats. But 10 targets, 9 catches, 51 yards, and a touchdown. For the Bucks, I think we've gotten down to it that Gio is probably the only one worth rostering. Randy, do you agree or disagree with that statement?
As of right now, he would be the best one to roster, and I think you could still roster Fournette, who's clearly been given an opportunity every game. Ronald Jones is droppable until next week when he has 25 rushes for 2 touchdowns because Arians felt like it this week. It's terrible. He is very bad at managing these running backs, in my opinion. And I don't think they're able to run the ball effectively because of it. They're just rotating bad running backs in the game. And this is why, like, in my opinion, both Rojo and Fournette are gone next year. They're hoping Tom's around for another year. And if that's the case, they're probably drafting a running back or signing a stud one to be an all-around back with Gio being like the mixed passing back. This is bad. For me, the other thing with Gio, they were down like 14 points pretty often in this game. They're throwing checkdowns. Gronk got banged up, added more. Antonio Brown's not around, more targets to go around. So for me, this is a great game. If you somehow played him, and you're not desperate for an option, you played him like me in one league. Then you lucked out. I would expect 3 to 4, 3 to 5 catches a week. Yeah. Not anywhere near this.
I agree, and I also think that was just part of the game plan.
Yeah, and again, we saw it with Tyler Johnson, with Scotty Miller. Like they were involving more people to get double coverages off of Godwin and Evans and Gronk. Yeah. Like they were trying to get everyone open because when Antonio Brown's there, you can't bracket, you can't do shit.
Yeah, you can't do anything. Yeah.
So they were trying to get that back, and they just couldn't do anything running the ball. They couldn't. I mean, it was a bad game, just purely bad game.
Yeah, for sure. I do think he's worth stashing at the end of your bench, but I would rather have Chuba, so I would prioritize that Chuba ahead of Gio for sure this week. But obviously, Chuba may have gotten picked up, so.
Well, he was
didn't higher roster
before the injury, you know. Like,
yeah, well, and people were holding Chuba as like a high value handcuff, and good on them. They have hopefully it's not the McCaffrey.
I guess they. I mean, 40% roster. I guess they were, but that's.
I thought I wrote 0% rostered, thinking, oh, no one had Chuba on the roster, and then I looked it up.
Well, a couple makes sense, but
40% is a lot. I think what happens is you have waivers that open up after the Thursday game. And so then it skews the numbers.
But waivers should be open, but generally players that have played aren't available.
I know. That's why I was shocked at that number. But just scour your waiver wire. You'll find out if Chuba's available. Hopefully he is.
It's all right. All the people that drafted both their starting running back handcuffs later in drafts are yelling about how they're right because McCaffrey got hurt right now. You're not right.
Yeah, you still did the wrong thing. All right. Next guy, Marquez Valdez Scantling. I know this sounds kind of crazy, and Randy might not even agree with this one as much. However, 19% rostered, only 4 targets, 3 catches, 59, and a touchdown. However, the main takeaway that I had out of this game against the 49ers was that Valdez-Scantling is the wide receiver 2 on this team. Now, I know that Aaron Jones is probably technically the wide receiver 2, and this was a game that Fred Warner was on Robert Tonyan quite a bit, and so he kind of got phased out, only seeing 1 target. However, Valdez-Scantling looks to be better. I mean, he got 75% of his targets. That is an uptick from last year in most games. Randy, how do you feel about picking up MVS this week?
I'm not.
Fair.
I don't know, man. Like, they've been talking about trying to get Cobb more involved in the offense. We just stated how Tonyan was kind of taken out by one of the best cover linebackers in the league.
The best.
Yeah, I try not to do that, you know.
I know, he is, though.
So, like, and really, if he doesn't get that one big play, I know that wasn't a touchdown, but he got one big play that padded the yards, and then he got a touchdown. Like, it was a good week. If you had him in DFS, again, it's the same thing. If you had him in DFS, you did great. However, I'm not picking him up for the end of the bench because my end of the bench is better.
Okay. See, I took this as more like I'd like to stash him to see how this offense continues to develop. And then also, I mean, I know wide receiver handcuffs aren't the smartest thing, but we just saw Devontae Adams get freaking blasted on just a YOLO ball from Rodgers. Also a good throw. However, I think if you pick up Valdez-Scantling now, strike while the iron's hot kind of deal, I think you might have something on your hands later. But
yeah,
I
think you're saying the same thing people have said for 3 years and have been wrong every time.
I know. I will. And Valdez-Scantling was pissed he wasn't on the field on the final drive, and I think that might be significant as well. So, all right, next guy, AJ Green. We talked a lot about Rondale Moore last week, and unfortunately, Rondale had a pretty tough game. But AJ Green did not, and we've got 2 straight weeks of production with him. He's only 30% rostered. He saw 6 targets, 5 catches for 112 yards. He didn't find the end zone. He will find the end zone at times. He did the previous week. And so, Randy, how do you – I mean, I was shocked to see that he's only 30% rostered, I guess. Are you picking up AJ Green this week?
Picking up AJ Green.
Great question.
No. I think he's been getting a good amount of targets. I'll say that, but like for me, he's got more with Hopkins banged up and having heavier coverage. He's gotten like 6 targets a game.
Yeah,
I just don't see him. I don't see him having this game again.
Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily think I see a 5 for over 100, but I think I see a heavy target share. Now, I know Hopkins was banged up. I know Christian Kirk and Rondale Moore. Rondale's not always going to have bad games, but Rondale still is the wide receiver 4 in terms of snaps and targets and everything. He was just ultra efficient. I think AJ Green has a little more left in the tank, and so I'd be good with putting him at the end of my bench.
Who's on the end of your benches?
No one. I mean, like I'm rostering 2 tight ends in a 1 tight end league at this point, and just out of necessity because I don't have a good tight end, I think I would drop like an Austin Hooper, keep my Dawson Knox, and add an AJ Green. You know what I'm saying?
See, for me, I think like I'd rather pick up Christian Kirk or Rondale. Like I'd much rather have them on my team because Green's not doing this. There's a good chance Green gets hurt, whereas the other guys have shown to be pretty healthy. It's like,
Yeah, I mean it's fair. I get it, and I was along that same mindset for a long time. So
here's the thing with AJ Green, MVS. Like, sure, you pick him up at the end of the bench. Would you ever play him?
I think matchup specific, AJ Green more than MVS.
I mean, it has to be like the most like, well, this could be 37-38, so he's probably getting some targets. Like, and then you're
Yeah,
still like, should I do him or? It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
So I would look at it as like if I'm cool with a boom or bust guy in my flex and I need something like that. For example, Frankie reached out this weekend to say like, are there any like boom or bust like off the wall plays for this weekend? I put in Slayton because I think against the Falcons defense he could blow up, and I said that's a pretty good process. If you need a boom, Slayton's a pretty good guy to play. Something similar to that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not someone you're going to start week to week, but I don't think we're getting that off waivers too often. You know?
yeah, I get it. He's just not exciting,
No, I hear
and he
you.
won't be. So I guess that's kind of my stance. Is he's not exciting. I probably wouldn't play him. So it's like,
That's fair. That's fair. All right, next guy, Dawson Knox. This is a guy that I will firmly say needs to be rostered simply because the rest of the tight ends outside of your elite guys not very good. Dawson Knox only 11% rostered, only caught 4 balls for 49 yards and a touchdown, but we know very well that you can get a mixture of 3 catches and 70 yards or 5 catches and 50 yards or 4 catches and 50 yards. But if a tight end finds the end zone, they're pretty valuable. And so Dawson Knox right now, he has had 3 straight 10 plus fantasy point performances in PPR. And heading into the Monday Night Football, which I believe he's going to be like tight end 6, 7, or 8 at this point. I don't really know how Goddard's doing, but
both Goddard and Schultz have had good days. So
yeah. So he might bump down to like 6 or 7, but he's a tight end 1 on the year. Do you think it's sustainable? Do you think he's a better option than, say, an Austin Hooper, like I mentioned?
oh hell, yeah, but it's weird because like Austin Hooper's playing. He's doing exactly what he should be doing. He's playing very well. He's playing very safe. He got a touchdown this week. Good for him. And Njoku did nothing. Bryant did nothing.
Yeah, Harrison.
Yeah. So it's like it was weird because we expected them to have more of a presence. They didn't do anything. For Knox, he did all of this with everyone else having a presence. Like we're talking, like he barely outscored Diggs, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bills had 2 top 10 receivers, and it wasn't Diggs.
Yeah.
Diggs had like 12 points. Knox had a good game. Zach Moss has Colbert's foot on the end zone. Like it was a good day all around for these guys. Knox has done this 2 straight weeks. There's some consistency there. I think he's worth a pickup if you need a tight end. I mean, it's just who needs the tight end. That's the.
Yeah, I would say like if you didn't draft one of the elite, would you start Dawson Knox over a Kyle Pitts type of player right now with how he's been struggling?
I mean, Kyle Pitts is still getting targets though.
He is, but my argument would be
Better
Dawson Knox targets are higher value at this point.
It'd be close. I'm curious. We're about a day and a half or a day away from me doing rankings, so I'm curious how it's going to play out. We'll see.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you should if you're tight end needy. I think this is a guy you should pick up.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Next guy, Sam Darnold, is on my list, and the reason Sam Darnold's on my list, 30% rostered. Again, I say my list because I don't know if Randy even agrees with this. 30% rostered, QB 12 on the year. The next 3, Dallas, Philadelphia, Minnesota. That Dallas matchup doesn't look great. But the next 2 kind of do, and it's going to be, I think, a pass-heavy game script for the Panthers in that Dallas game. So Sam Darnold has been ultra impressive against pretty bad football teams, but would you pick him up even in single quarterback?
I mean, it depends who you got there. For me, probably no, because I don't know if I'd feel comfortable playing him this week, even though he's probably going to have to pass more with McCaffrey out. But like we've already talked about, the Cowboys defense played great tonight. They played pretty good this season. They're making plays, which is the biggest thing. Darnold has played great, but also very safe.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's allowed to play safe next week for them to have a chance to win this. So I think I wait a week for him. If in a one quarterback league, like if I played him or Herbert or him and Cousins or him and Baker or him, I think I'm taking the other guys.
Yeah. I think that is also a fair assessment. I will say, he is available in some 2 quarterback leagues because everyone was down on him and then they didn't believe what they were seeing in the first couple of weeks. So if that's the case, I think he for sure needs to be picked up. For example, he's available in one of our 2 quarterback leagues that we play in. So
which one is that?
I am not telling you because I am picking him up because I have bad quarterbacks. So
it's waivers. I can also pick him up. Like what?
That's fair. All right. So yeah, that's just my piece on Sam Darnold. Next, Zacchaeus for the Falcons. If Russell Gage is out, Zacchaeus had a pretty good football game. 6 targets, 3 receptions, 32 yards. He did find the end zone, which kind of saved his day. Not too many Falcons players that I would love rostering, but if Gage is out, I think this is kind of like your deeper start 12 type of league with extra flexes. You pick up Zacchaeus and you toss him in there if Gage is out. But don't love it.
Yeah.
It's not something I would love to do. I would rather pick up the next guy, which is Colin Johnson. So Colin Johnson is the aforementioned player that benefited from Slayton and Shepard going out in the middle of the game. 0% rostered right now. 7 targets after they went down. 5 receptions, 51 yards. If Shepard and Slayton are out, do you think Colin Johnson gets a look in this offense?
Yeah, if we get a report saying both of those guys are out, let's say 2 to 3 weeks, like I think he should be picked up and given the shot because Golladay is still the best receiver they have. He already was. However, with that, he is more of a jump ball receiver, contested catch guy. Quarterback will not throw it, apparently. And he's also getting the best targets where Colin Johnson will not. However, I think this is kind of the stat line you should be expecting as even just the number 2 option because Ingram back. Again, he played this week, but it's his first week back. I didn't expect anything from him. I think next week, especially with these guys down, we can expect Ingram to have a heavy target ratio. So I think Johnson, this may be closer to the ceiling, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he's very touchdown dependent, and I think he could find the end zone. He's a big body guy. I know Golladay is probably that red zone target, but we don't know too much about red zone targets for Daniel Jones because they don't exist. Red zone trips don't really exist for that offense either. So, would you rather roster Colin Johnson, assuming that Shepard and Slayton are out, or Laviska Shenault, who just scored 8 fantasy points? He has 21 fantasy points on the year. Isn't that a crazy question to be asking? I'm going to ask something, Laviska. Yeah.
Neither.
That's fair.
I probably wouldn't play either at all. But
yeah,
if I had to pick one, I guess Colin Johnson.
Yeah. I think that's where I lean as well. He had half of what Laviska scored in one game, so you hate to see it, Laviska truthers. Ironic that Colin Johnson was his teammate last year. All right, last one because we're not. Tommy Tremble's on the list just because Dan Arnold got traded, but don't pick up Tommy Tremble.
Why is that?
I would say that Dan Arnold wasn't relevant, and so we need to see it for a week. He only got like 4, per game, which
is a good amount.
It's a decent amount, but are you starting Tommy Tremble over a guy like Dawson Knox, who you can pick up too?
Probably.
You think?
See, well, my thing is Tremble's getting targets too.
That's true.
And then you add in the other guy is gone that was getting 4 to 5 a game, and then you add in the other guy getting short targets is hurt.
It's fair,
You
but
know,
I think this adds up to the next guy more so getting more targets.
does it? Because the hype has been wrong.
The hype has
Shocker.
been wrong. The hype has been wrong, which we tried to tell people that the hype was a little out of control, but this guy, Terrace Marshall, I didn't want to talk about 4 Panthers on this show. I forgot about them, and then I added all of them. But
4 Panthers.
Terrace Marshall, 35% rostered, 5 targets, 4 catches, 48 yards. Not great. 14 targets through 3 games. But I did write on here, pick him up now, because now with Dan Arnold leaving, I think if you wait for the Terrace Marshall big game and you're lower on the waiver priority, you miss out on what could be the wide receiver 2 for a very good offensive football team.
Yeah, it's clearly not Robbie Anderson.
That's the thing. And they did express a need to get Robbie Anderson the ball after the game. However, it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, they might need to get Robbie Anderson involved, but they aren't scheming it that way. And Terrace Marshall has more targets through 3 games than Robbie Anderson. So I don't know. Would you pick up Terrace Marshall or MVS?
Terrace Marshall.
Terrace Marshall or AJ Green?
Terrace Marshall. Upside.
Yeah.
We're talking guys that I'm putting in my last bench spot, hoping that it works out. It's not AJ Green. It's not MVS because I've been down the road too many times. It's Terrace.
Yeah. Yeah. So out of the receivers on our list, Terrace is the wide receiver 1. So if you need a receiver and Terrace is available, I know his stat line hasn't looked good, but now is the time to get him. That's when you pounce on guys. It's kind of like a buy low in Dynasty.
It's even the ones we've been spoiled with being good rarely start good.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Justin Jefferson last year. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that Terrace Marshall is about to do what Justin Jefferson did. However, it does make sense that he is struggling just to get involved in the offense. The good side for him is another receiver struggling, and they just got rid of somebody, and someone got hurt. So it's like the same reason I think Tommy Tremble could become a thing, at least as a back-end tight end option, is the same reason Terrace Marshall could have good weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. So pick your poison. If you need a receiver, pick up Terrace. If you need a tight end, maybe pick up Trouble and toss him on the end of your bench. But
Trouble, he's available more than Dawson Knox. It's a more reliable target share, possibly.
Maybe
it's just the touchdown share is a little bit less, so
it might even help. But it just names to keep an eye on. Again, we always preface these guys might not even be available in your leagues. Now, Tommy Tremble is also, no matter what.
Quickly, if Tim Patrick is somehow available, he is basically the only body left. He is. It's him and Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant. So that's it.
And they signed David Moore this evening. So
no, actually, never mind. David Moore is the god of just taking away enough to screw over the upside play.
That's true. That's why the Panthers cut him so they could get.
Because they're like, wait a minute,
he's doing so well. We need to get him targets, so we're gonna cut him. So yeah, that's good advice. Also, keep an eye out for whatever receiver they do pick up outside of David Moore, because I assume that they're gonna try to get a speed guy to replace Hamler.
I think they already did.
Oh, well, I missed that news. The other thing, guys, Josh Gordon just got signed. He got signed to the practice squad. Probably not worth picking up at this point. Wait a week or 3 or forever.
Honestly, don't pick him up, and then whoever picks him up and holds on to him and ends up dropping him in 2 weeks because he still isn't playing, then maybe you look at not picking him up. The thing is, Josh Gordon at one point was arguably a top 15 receiver in the league for a season or two. Like that.
At one point, he was.
That was what he had.
The best.
That was a while ago.
About a decade.
That was 2 or 3 Browns quarterbacks ago. The last time we've seen him, he was pretty much a slant boy that only caught one slant a game.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that he makes the Chiefs. He's on the practice squad and he hasn't played football, so they just signed him because they don't have receivers and they hope that he hits, but there's a more likely shot that he gets cut, I think. So,
yeah.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, let's get on to our Week 4 preview quickly. A lot of good games, as I said. Panthers at Cowboys, I put this on the list, but we've talked about the Panthers and the Cowboys quite a bit here. Cowboys just dominated the Eagles. The game just finished as we're recording right now. Early picks. I know we haven't made our picks yet, Randy, but are you picking the Cowboys in this game?
Yeah, as of right now, without thinking about it.
Yeah. This is just going to be your gut reaction.
Yeah,
and then you can go back and listen and make your picks for real later. It's going to be a good game, though. Good offensive football game, I think. Cowboys defense is fast and looks to be better. I was wrong about Washington football team. I think the Cowboys are definitely going to win the NFC East this year. Good football team. All right, next game, Cardinals at Rams. It's a 4 o'clock game. Actually, the 4 o'clock slate and the primetime games look to be better than the 1 o'clock slate this week.
That's generally how it for me
used to be.
Kind of how they try and plan it, because there's always 2 games on it for most people. Where at 1, you have everyone's gonna watch their team, and then they may watch one of the game, but most likely they'll probably be on Red Zone.
And Red Zone, yep.
Yeah. Where you just get, here's a good play, cool. So,
do the Cardinals have a chance in this game?
Yes. I would give them. I want to say if they didn't play sloppy this last week, I think I would pick them right now. However, I'm picking the Rams.
I am probably going to pick the Cardinals in this game for sake of letdown game after a big win. Because we see that happen a lot.
I would expect. I think the Rams possibly are going to need to score as many points as they just did.
Yeah,
and that's not always capable of being had. So
yeah, for sure. It's going to be a good game to watch. The best games, I think, are these last 3. So Ravens at Broncos. The Ravens go to Mile High, and they play a good football team. The Ravens could very well be 0-3. The Ravens got bailed out by a bad back judge not seeing the play clock expire for 2 seconds. On the clock, and it was intentional grounding. And a Clyde fumble. They could be 0-3 right now. Should be. Broncos haven't really played a ton of good competition, but look to be legit. Who are you taking in this game?
Ravens.
Yeah, I think I'm on the Ravens this week as well. And I think that's how I picked it in our season-long prediction. So
because the strength for the Ravens is the defense, clearly. And I will say the Ravens have been kind of average against the run. A lot. They've been good, but they've also not been great. So the Broncos need the running game and the offense to be good. The defense, what they do well, I mean, pass rush, which doesn't fucking matter. And then, but honestly, I just do what it sounds stupid and kind of like a fan thing here, but do what the Raiders did. Yeah. They just attacked the edge and had D tackles, not even good wise. They just tried to have D tackles stay up front.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the Ravens were like, "That's such a good plan. That would work against Patrick Mahomes." And did it the next week.
Yep.
If you kind of do that, you can somewhat limit Lamar. It's not going to be easy. If Lamar runs for 100 yards, they win easy. That's and I'm kind of expecting him to do that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'll pick the Ravens in this game, but we'll have to see. It's going to be a fun football game.
Yes.
The more fun football game is Tom Brady's return. Shout out to that Adele commercial that aired last night on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
Tom Brady at the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football. It's going to be just a load of emotions for Patriots fans. I think for Brady and Belichick too. I'm interested to see that interaction. But I think they'll probably chop it up a little bit. But do you think there's any chance the Patriots win this game?
With how they're playing now, on paper, there's a chance. You know what I mean? Like, on paper, Mac Jones could have a good game. The problem is, I think for them to have a good game, they're going to have to be able to run the ball. And there's no way they're going to be able to run the ball. Like,
no.
The lines look decent, but not incredible. And then you got the Bucs got rained on slightly this week, but it's because they were down a lot, really. And they're trying to make plays on defense.
Yeah.
I think they commit to trying to stop Damian Harris, and that's just going to kill the Patriots.
Yeah. Yeah, the Patriots offense is not great right now. A name that we didn't mention in the waiver segment, Kendrick Bourne had a really good game this last week. I don't think that's sticky though. I wouldn't pick him up. But yeah, I would take the Bucs by 10 plus probably. Sorry, Randy. All right, last game, Raiders at Chargers. We talked about this already a little bit, but this is probably my favorite game. I think Ravens and Broncos is the best Sunday game. And I think Raiders at Chargers is probably the best game on the week. So
yep.
You've got two quarterbacks playing well. I would say Herbert struggled a little bit for the first couple of weeks. If you had to start a player in fantasy, Derek Carr or Justin Herbert, which one are you starting?
Oh, hell. Herbert. God.
Man, I think I'd start Carr in this game.
Yeah, but it's so close. It's so close because arguably we need to hear about Jacobs. Obviously, that's going to be a huge part of this game. We need to hear about Derwin James. That's going to be another huge part of this game. But Derek Carr has played much better. However, he doesn't have as prolific of a passing offense as the Chargers can have. So because of that, and because of I would rather, if I had to bet on one of these running back teams stealing 2 touchdowns from the quarterback, it's definitely the Raiders, not the Chargers.
Yeah, that's fair. Start Mike Williams, guys. I know.
Yeah, revelation.
Right. I know a lot of people said, someone said that there were three options to drop. Mike Williams was one of them. It was like a 10-teamer. Don't drop a wide receiver 1. Start a wide receiver 1. That is what Mike Williams is. He's getting a target share, an alpha target share. People were out on him because of Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's been good too. I think they're both going to finish as wide receiver 1s by the end of the year.
People, until we get to at least halfway through the year, people are not going to want to agree. They don't want to see reality as reality. Just like when we're going to start to say a question, we didn't even, Ryan, or right, was it Ryan? Or was it someone had a start sit question of Robert Woods or Brandon Cooks, and the poll was incredibly close, like 51 to 49, and you tweeted for us, it's Brandon Cooks. I completely behind that because it's the right call, and it was the right call. Yeah. And we had somebody very angry at us for even mentioning that was a good call. And then it was proven to be a good call on Thursday, and they still didn't want to mention. They're like, no, still though. It's like, what?
And then Robert Woods finishes like wide receiver 60-something.
Yeah, Robert Woods is a very good receiver. He can have a very good week. However, Brandon Cooks is consistent. Mike Williams is consistent so far. Yeah. Until they do something else, why are we treating them like they're not good? Brandon Cooks has had 1,000 yards in multiple seasons and multiple teams. Mike Williams has had 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards in different seasons. And if he stays healthy, he gets close to that. This is what we saw last year. And he's going to break that this year if he stays healthy.
He's going to demolish it. It's going to be crazy.
Adapt to new information. It's not that hard.
Yes. That's the thing. Like, the start your stud stuff counts for sure when it's actual studs performing like studs.
And now, and that's why I brought that poll up, because that's a great start-sit question. Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks. What are we feeling? Davis Mills, the quarterback. How do we think it's going? There's a large part of me that wants to say Robert Woods there. But my rankings, my thought process, my evaluation process, Brandon Cooks the answer. Brandon Cooks was the answer. Now, it shouldn't be that much of a gap. I agree. There's something going on there. Which other fan theories are hilarious for that one. I'm not going to talk about that one because that was just shouldn't be talked about. But that's the thing. Like, it's Mike Williams is going to have a good day. The only way he doesn't is if this Raiders pass rush just gets there so quick that they can't throw it deep.
But even then, I mean, Mike Williams, yes, he's still the deep target, but he's still getting some underneath targets now too.
Yes, he is. But my point is, like, if he just gets this underneath targets, he probably has 3 to 5 catches for like 50, 60 yards, maybe a touchdown. But his deep targets is where he makes it ridiculous, or red zone targets is where he makes it ridiculous.
And Herbert loves throwing to him in the end zone.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's literally like you could throw to Jared Cook, or you could throw the much more athletic Jared Cook that's willing to break his entire body to make this touchdown.
Exactly.
Who is the quarterback throwing it to?
Let's do that.
I wonder who.
Oh man! All right. Well, I don't know that I ever made a pick. I think the Raiders won.
We didn't. Game. Raiders for me. No, I mean,
I think the Raiders won this game. I think they're
legit. Gonna be Raiders for me.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, that'll do it for this episode of The Cut. Make sure you guys tune in. Again, we have a lot of good shows. The Coach Approach on Wednesday, the College Football Cut on Thursday, and then DFS Deep Dive on Friday. We will be back this show on the podcast Thursday morning. Remember, that is podcast only. We go live every 10:30 every Monday with this live show. So make sure you guys subscribe, tune in, all that good stuff. Check out thecutffb.com where we have our rankings posted, where we also have tons of great articles coming out. Shout out to Jared at JT Spreads on Twitter, who's been putting out a Thrive pick article, which has been super helpful for me. I'm winning in Thrive. I use some of his picks, so shout out Jared. And I think we're going to end on this Thrive ad because I forgot to do an ad read. So we'll leave you with that.
Fair.
We will leave you with that tonight instead of the outro music. Randy, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Cool. Well, we will talk to you guys later this week. For Randy Hall, I am Christian Williams. We will talk to you then. Peace.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
Use promo code THECUT to get matching deposits up to $50 with a minimum deposit of $20. Thank you to Thrive Fantasy.